Welcome back to Legend of Mana. So now it's time to continue what was established in the previous quest about Monique and supposedly what she did to that ship.
Little Bo Peep has lost his
Okay,
ship.
I'm again trying not to be the guy who just complains about everything, but I've definitely come to a conclusion.
Hey, Jover, that's my job, complaining about everything.
Point being, go ahead, Jova.
Yeah, I think my main issue with the last part was, again, if there's one thing I don't like with, installments in a franchise or storyline or anything, it's when clearly the only purpose those particular installments serve is just to be the bridge point between 2 points. It's like, that's literally just all its purpose is. Like, no actual content or anything, just, hey, we're setting things up for this. It's like, well, it's like basically, imagine if like all the MCU films leading up to the first Avengers film were literally just, wait for Avengers, then we'll actually do something more. Wait for Avengers, then we'll do something more. I mean,
That was Iron Man 2.
Wow. Yeah, my point exactly. Imagine if like, all the movies leading up to that had been like Iron Man 2.
Anyway, the soldiers apparently had the lead on Monique thanks to the vision that we saw with the ghost, and now they're tracking her down, and you know where her shop was at Lumina. But apparently the Imperials haven't found them.
What if the twist is that Monique is truly actually a gem who Sandra's about to try and kill and get?
Surprisingly, no. Again, the story arc about Gilbert only crosses a bit with the one of Drumi, but now it's doing its own thing.
I see. Which is weird, because really the only participation he plays is showing up there saying, hi, I'm in the side quest, and then... Again, I guess that's my main issue. It's like, well, why not just incorporate it into the actual quest itself as opposed to just having it be, like, literally just the thing you need? Like,
what do you mean?
Well, what I mean is, like, well, there's not really even world building or, character building involving all the characters. It's just literally a setup for, hey, this quest here, this will open up the gates to these 2 quest lines.
Actually, you don't really know until you actually go through it.
Well, that's my point exactly. It's like, well, it makes the quest that we need to, do the 2 quests, again, literally just a bridge between them with nothing really more. I mean, I guess to me, especially in something like, say, a game or movie, it just feels like, I don't want to say it wastes my time, but it feels like it's the bare minimum. Again.
No, again, it's that I really don't understand this logic.
Again, have you seen Iron Man 2?
Yeah.
Again, you know how the main complaint for Iron Man 2 is that it's essentially just a big preview for Avengers? Like, there's nothing really of value in
I
merit
also
to
heard
it.
other complaints about it, but go ahead.
The main complaint is that Iron Man 2 is essentially just setting up for Avengers, because when you get down to it, aside from Whiplash, who isn't really there, and Tony getting a new core reactor, nothing really new is established or achieved, except, hey, the Avengers are there, and we got Black Widow. And again, this is clear stuff that could have just been done otherwise. Like, again, there's no point whatsoever to it aside from just setting up things. And that's one of the reasons why people don't like it. That and the movie itself sucks. Think about that, like, with these quests. Like, essentially, these quests are previews for stuff to come. Like, again, there was not really any action so much. We didn't really learn much aside from, this one legend, which essentially we could have learned at just the start of the side quest that's more related to it. I mean, I guess it's by coincidence that 2 just happened to be related to it. But I think it would have been better if maybe it was just, maybe there is a crossing point to the point where, hey, if you're in the middle of one quest, you can learn about that, and then that opens the door to the other quest that you can do at the same time if you want to.
Actually, you can do it at the same time as well. Again, the only reason I'm not doing that at the same time is because of the cactus, and also because of better pacing.
Oh, hey, Monique. Yeah, I do get that. My main thing, though, is that essentially, though, the quest that we did itself, though, nothing of value is really accomplished. It's mainly just a setup for things to come, and, well, again, in a game like this, I'm not too particularly fond of the idea that, oh, you just did a quest so you can unlock other quests. Like, that's about as arbitrary as you can get content-wise. It's like, I guess, I hate to say it, it feels like a cheap means of adding game content.
Well, if the entire game structure is like this, you know.
Well, Jova, look at it this way. At least they're not repeating the same dungeon over and over and over.
Not
And the
just
same
that.
dialogue.
Not just that, Job. I will understand if the game structure had a specific structure on its own, and this was the exception that make it tone down. But if the entire game is like this, wouldn't it just make things part of the course?
But that's the thing, though. It's like, well, again, the entire game is not entirely like this. It's like, it's just like, there are several quests like this that stand out. Because, again, there are plenty of quests where we actually do accomplish stuff. Like, look, it's okay to, set up for future stuff, yes, but actually have something be accomplished in that. Like, again, going back to that one about the 2 penguins there. What do? We fought a crab, but we never interacted with the penguins, so it's clearly just to set up for a future quest, if anything. Again, it feels like nothing was really accomplished, and that's not particularly fun when you feel like your character has to, well, essentially wait to get anything done. Whereas compared to, say, something like how the Jumi quest started off, we actually accomplished a bit by chasing after Sandra, learning about her, helping out the gems here and there, so that feels a bit different. Whereas, again, I hate to complain too much about this, but, with the last quest involving this, we didn't really accomplish anything. We learned a story and found out someone stole this or that, and okay, now we're at the point where this feels like, then we should have gotten the payoff. Like, again, Monique now apparently getting accused of sinking the ship. This feels like part of the payoff.
She wants to see her friend, though, supposedly nearby.
Her friend's the mermaid, I'm guessing.
She's also friend with Flamesh, but she mentioned Elle, another siren.
Flamesh is the fish, right?
The mermaid, yeah. There's a difference between mermaid and siren, Jova.
Oh, wait. So there's another siren here named Elle?
Yeah, we just haven't seen it yet. Monique just mentioned her.
Yeah, again, my main point is that this quest feels like it should have been part of that quest where we found out the story about, because then it would have felt more complete and more like we accomplished stuff. And again, maybe I wouldn't complain if, like, well, like you said, if this was the norm with all the quests, but it's not. And I get it, they don't want everything to be the same structure-wise, but don't let that be an excuse to be inconsistent to the point where, again, some quests just feel like they waste your time. And okay. You know what? You know what would fix a lot of these problems? If you didn't have to go back to the treehouse every time to get them recorded. Like, okay. I know it's a minuscule thing, but like you yourself said, if you want to have that record there, you gotta go back to the tree. So people like me who want that content there are gonna have to go back and forth to the tree, which means you can't really multitask, or at the very least you can't, finish one quest and then finish another before going back to the tree. It's like, I think maybe if that weren't a part of it, I wouldn't be as judgmental about this. But as that is the case, and essentially you have to do quest by quest in versions of finishing it, that's unfortunately when I have to judge.
But, oh, look at that. The actual ghost showed up, which apparently was one of the victims.
And who's this one he's standing over?
Actually, no, he's one of the Imperial soldiers. He actually was here to, pay respects about the victims. But apparently, the actual ghost of one of the shipwrecks actually showed up and he's telling them about the events.
Sorry if I talked over a lot of stuff, folks.
No, don't worry, Jova. If something important and needs to happen, I'll be sure to point out no matter what.
Wait, Deathbringer?
Bye.
Are we getting X-Death involved now?
Remember, Jova, it was also mentioned previously, it's part of something that's more implied than anything. Supposedly, when the Mana Tree was still alive, the Deathbringer, which was the second boss that we fought in the Bone Fortress quest, the Leech, kind of like figure, apparently led an army and almost killed the Mana Tree, but it's not important.
Oh, look at that! Another battle tragedy that's connected to the Mana Tree being around.
Yeah, again, supposedly Jova, apparently, it's what Nunuzak was saying, the fact that apparently the Mana Tree is causing more suffering than anything because it attracts people with our hunger for power.
Can I just say that one thing I would love for JRPG games of the future to do? When you have something that's clearly fulfilling this prophecy that will doom us all, just give a joke option, or at the very least, add in a fur type of ending, Let players pick the ending.
I think a game that actually may answer that question, Jova.
Well, okay.
called, I forgot the name, something and the World Eaters. It was made by NIS, the one in Japan, I think. And it's a tactical RPG, but as an option, for your character to become a dark god and essentially keeping swallowing power until the point where he actually kills everyone else and ultimately destroys reality.
You know what I'd like to see, though? A game like this, just giving the player the choice to stop the blatantly evil things from happening. Like, seriously. Why are we supposed to side with the characters who want the mana tree back? Like, and it doesn't help.
No, but again, RPG logic, for some reason, some people are content to just seal away evil instead of actually destroy it.
So, yeah, the thing is that the mana tree itself isn't the evil, it's literally what it attracts, so...
Yeah, that's what Pokiel also reasoned, in a sense that just let the mana tree be created and we'll see what happens.
It's up to the protagonist to save the world, I know, but even still...
Not really, the protagonist doesn't really need to do much. Anyway, what we need to do now is actually to reach the hut where Elle lives. And also hangs out with Amesh, and that Monique is about to visit.
That reminds...
In order to actually understand a bit about the shipwreck.
So what is your... Oh, wait.
Flamesh, the mermaid.
Oh, how do we know she's here?
Monique said it, I think, before. But even if we don't know, we'll actually see immediately as she shows up because she's essentially guarding the place.
Got it. If I recall correctly, wasn't there opening narration that talked about how, you know, the world was destroyed and, like, will sort of give, like, a vague reason why we need to use artifacts?
Yeah, Jova, and keep that for the ending, all the other information. But if you have paid enough attention, you should probably know what's really going on.
Yep, I got a good idea.
Let's just say that what the Sproutling told you about creating a world for imagination has more meaning to it. Anyway, I actually appreciate a bit this particular theme, which is essentially the siren singing. Which, although it's synthesized, it's also, you know, pretty crafted. What do you think, Libs?
It sounds alright.
Okay.
There you go. That's the hut. Then we go. There's Flamesh guarding it. Go ahead, Shirei.
This is surprising. So it was you whom the soldiers caught.
Ooh, what? Wait, is she talking to Monique via the grapevines or something?
No, there you go. She's talking to Elle, who's currently inside. Dweebs will be here.
Are we who, sorry?
The other one who Monique is talking to.
No.
Okay.
I thought that was Elle or... Oh, wait, no, that is Monique?
Elle. No, this one is Monique. The one where she was talking to was Elle.
Huh.
They say our voices bring misfortune, but they don't have the right to say that.
Actually, sweetie, we kind of evidence to this.
Ships won't sink either.
That's a good thing.
That's the problem. Sirens are cursed to actually sing.
They say I can sing here, since it's away from the ships.
But why doesn't Monique sing?
You sound like one of... Oh.
Soldiers.
Yeah.
Let the ship sink. Oh gosh, several.
What?
You've got to set
You've got to
yourself
free yourself.
Monique, what are you doing?
It's my choice to
the
stay here too, isn't it? You're always cooped up in that atelier of yours too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you seem content not to sink ships.
There are so many soldiers around. Here inside, there's peace.
Good point.
Listen to me, Ella. Is that Ella?
Elle.
Oh. I didn't say there was freedom outside.
You lied to me. I never hit you.
Freedom is inside your heart. You're imprisoning yourself.
So let me see if I can do...
Actually, before you laugh, Pedro, this is a subtle metaphor to the shut-in hikikomori thing that Japan, at this point, also was more prevalent to.
Of course.
Also, I think what she's trying to say is freedom is relative.
Like everything in this particular setup, it's a bit of a metaphor. The sinking and the ship is essentially the phobia that some hikikomori have of venturing to the, outside of their rooms.
So here's an idea. Why don't they just move to a place that's clearly on land away from ships? You know, like what Monique was doing.
Supposedly this was fine, but the problem was that ship that passed actually was a bit of course, so obviously it was caught.
I was born to be myself.
Oh, so...
That's my freedom.
Oh, so Elle was the one who sank that ship.
Yeah.
So my point is
that's
this.
Why it was sorry, Flamesh, can you make us enter? The problem is she will not grant us access.
I won't let her out. It's too dangerous with all the soldiers. I can't let a friend face danger like that.
So what exactly you need to do is actually to
Amesh,
wait.
Please.
No,
go ahead.
Now, essentially, what you need to do is kind of trick her in a sense of you have to like face her away a bit away, like say to the point of a treasure box or something, and wait until she teleports a bit away. She kind of needs to get back into the water after a while in order to hydrate again. And at the point where she teleports, you can actually enter. It's a simple game of, peekaboo.
How is she keeping Elle trapped in there? Elle has wings. She can fly.
No, it's not trapped. She's not allowing people to enter instead.
Oh, okay. So what?
You're so stubborn. Just don't get too much sun.
You know, you're a fish, you'll fry. How are you even out here for that long?
She can teleport, as also she's shown before in the previous quest. Now, hold on, it means to just patiently wait a bit. There you go, almost as if we are leaving the screen. Just to keep an eye on there. Hold on. I didn't even know. There you go, that's your cue.
Oh.
And here's the problem, we need a boss nonetheless, and this is the point where I actually rage at the game.
Wait, are we about to get...
This thing is called Tropicallo. It's similar to the boss that we faced in the mines at the beginning of A. Here's the problem, every time one of the ants gets defeated, it releases a huge one-hit kill area attack.
What the hell?
Regardless of the difficulty and regardless of your level.
Okay.
So essentially it's a puzzle boss out of nowhere that actually begs you to think differently, but you're in a small area. You need to be in an extreme corner.
Okay, I have to say it. This game is too random for its own good.
That's the problem, Jova. This is the only boss fight that is like this.
This is
I really don't understand why this is, but every other boss has been fairly challenging at worst.
Yeah, I think this sums up a lot of my complaints here. This game is too random for its own good. There's too many of these exceptional cases where something dumb gameplay or story-wise, that's inconsistent with the rest of the game is happening. Like, okay, I get it. You want exploration, experimentation, and freedom, but at some point, you got to stop. Like, seriously, if there are no rules, what order is there?
There are no rules.
It's like Night Flat. Also, another thing, the other end constantly has to you the confusion, the debuff that reverts your control. So if you're not paying attention, you just risk to set yourself into the area of attack.
So the way this class goes is like, well, unless you attack a certain plant, the right...
No. What you need to do essentially is to detach the hands and then kill them. The right hand automatically always destroys itself with that one-hit kill area attack. But the left one, you need to actually deplete the health. Every time a hand gets defeated, the boss loses a bit of health. Here's the problem, in hard mode, this boss has a lot of health anyway. So this is essentially the only real difficulties fighting the entire game.
So let me get this straight, Flamesh. You feel you need to protect, Elle
That's also the
people.
problem what you mentioned, Jova. This boss has no reason of being here.
Story and gameplay segregation. Like, literally, there is no reason for Flamesh to be guarding the area. This boss has things covered.
Not just that, this is the, as we will see, this is the area where L also resides, so I don't really understand why they felt the need to put a boss in here. I would understand having a boss at the end of the side quest, but place it in a different area, like the area before getting to the tree.
This is something that Fair Friends are after. Curious.
No, well, if Fair Friends will do it, will ban even dirty jokes and everything.
It wasn't very Friends
a lot of bosses in Fair Friends come from nowhere.
It wasn't very Friends
True, but they
more
also
so.
are very insensitive about it. At least here it tries to be connected to the story.
Besides, wasn't Very Friends Wrestling all about, you know, repetition, whereas this is kind of the opposite, I'd say. It's randomness.
Little random.
But yeah, as I was saying earlier, why doesn't L move to an area that's not surrounded by water? You know, not an island? Again, like Monique. And here's what I don't get. Why is Monique getting all huffy about this? Like, Monique seems just fine not singing. Like, she's saying, we have to sing, yet we didn't see her sing a lick while she was trying to sell...
the lambs, yeah.
The lambs.
Well, that's what is also her argument. She actually actively called L out on being closed in like this.
Why didn't she do anything about it then?
Well, she's about to.
Oh boy.
The problem is, again, this boss is quite painful. Like, again, it's... I don't understand because the game had no bosses of this type. This is like a unique exception, and they really don't understand why it was put in here. It also doesn't help that it's based on the name itself, because it's also based on one of the bosses of Secret of Mana.
This game feels like it's a hodgepodge of all these different ideas they want to try out and see what sticks for later games.
Yeah, if you want a comparison, the 2008 Alone in the Dark reboot, it's a good one, in a sense that it has, that game also had the excuse of having a very shitty plot on its own regardless.
Yeah.
And
it had the goal to try and connect itself to the original Alone in the Dark.
Despite being a reboot, which makes no sense whatsoever. But it had several different ideas for gameplay. I actually played the games, I was like an attest to. I can also tell you with the PS3 version it's marginally better than the Xbox 360. But the point being, still there was a bunch of ideas, and developers at some point they should have just stopped and actually fixed what they had. With this, it's more like experimentation for the sake of it, and we had some basic idea for the scripts, but we just mushed in several story arcs.
Oh my god, that's a good point. Like, you know, even the story feels like a mix of all these different ideas to see what works. Like, okay, let's look at that. We got the Dragon arc, which is, of course, you know, your typical Dragon's plot. We've got the Fairy arc, which is your typical, hey, turns out the person we're rooting for originally may actually be the evil and instigator of everything.
Not just that, group of friends that can't get turned up when they grow up.
And then there's the Jumi arc, which is part mystery, you know, part, you know, with the detective.
And part racism.
Wait, I thought that was the Fairy arc.
Not just, well, sort of. Remember also, the Jumis are not well seen in general.
Whew, finally.
There we go.
So, is there like any extra bonus you get for beating this game on the hardest difficulty?
You get more loots and experience.
Nothing story-wise, I hope.
No, don't worry. You don't have to replay the entire game again.
Who's this?
L. And there's Monique entering. Remember, there's sirens where they could to each other.
Hello, how are you doing?
Remember, who's this who?
Shiroi's Monique.
The sprite icon is fairly different, Libs.
There's also some color differences.
Okay.
Now that the monster is gone, you're free to go out there.
Wait, what?
Thanks.
Are you kidding me?
I don't want to. I'm such a coward.
So, you're telling me that the monster was supposedly keeping her captive here, never mind the fact that Famesh was guarding the way here, and again, never mind the fact that Elle has wings, she could easily fly out that window. You're telling me the monster was keeping her captive all along?
We're operating on Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon. Despite having clear visible gaps within the bars, the characters will not even bother to go through.
Those gaps are so big you could fall down.
Not only that, but what happened to Elle Elle's whole plotline thing about how she feels guilty for sinking the ship and that she was keeping herself here. Now it's all apparently that, you know, the monster was keeping her here?
Jeez, can't you sound a little happier than that?
Well, remember, the person who was guarding them was blocking people from coming in, not people leaving.
Anyway, this will get reprised a bit later on while continuing, because it will also, remember, this is part of Gilbert's story arc, which surprisingly he hadn't yet a part to play in, but it will be soon.
I'm sorry, why didn't Flamesh just tell us, oh, by the way, I'm guarding the way because there's a giant evil killer monster there, so I don't want people to get killed. Or
I guess she also has fish intelligence?
Why, what? Okay, so she says she's trying to guard Elle, yet she's perfectly fine that we broke in. And again, Elle...
Because we were helping.
Again, the dilemma was that Elle wanted to stay there because she felt guilty. They never established a monster whatsoever, or is the story implying that they tricked us into helping them?
What do you mean?
As in, was that all just staged just to make us feel like we need to go and cheer her up, and that's why we had to go in to save her from the monster? Oh, so what happened to the original plot at the start?
There still is with Jova. Again, the boss was just something in the middle.
Yeah, but again, the plotline involving the boss supposedly keeping Elle there came out of nowhere. Like, they literally said Elle could have left. Ugh. I mean, okay. Do later quest lines actually try and draw up on this?
On the whole, Elle feel guilty, yeah.
And does it...
A bird girl was trapped in a bird cage, and a fish girl guarded the bird cage for the bird girl. I want a friend who guards my cactus pot.
See?
Yeah, this story's for the birds.
See? Even the description said literally that the mermaid was guarding her. So what? Was that monster made by Flamesh's magic or something? No, that wouldn't make sense because, again, if they had just had it be, Elle, you don't have to keep yourself a prisoner, that would have been fine, you know? I would have complained less if they didn't acknowledge the boss, but nope, they chose to acknowledge the boss, and now they're suggesting that she was kept there captive, even though her main reasoning was her guilt in the first place. It's like if there's two universes, like a multiverse of sorts. Like, hey, we've entered a different universe.
Anyway, let's check. The aquatic egg, as I said, we get a crab.
Nice. What is
well, I'm not gonna use it in combat. We'll stick to Darkstar the Rabbit, but for the sake of it, let's just name this particular crab. Maybe.
For a second, I thought you were gonna name the egg after me.
Oh, cute.
Deji the crab. Unfortunately, again, I'm not gonna use it, but whatever.
Sorry, Dej.
Wow, is that me, or is that kind of how Deji works in this group in real life? we name after something, but we rarely use them.
Yeah. We never did complete that Ed in any playthrough. Forever rest in peace.
Well, if he still has the rolls, we can still finish it.
True.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't get it, Tio. What is it with this game making me rant lately?
Well, I don't know, Jova. It's up to you to formulate your opinion, not me to show mine down your throat.
I don't know. It's just like, well,
The thing is, that's the remember, Teo. It's kind of weird for Jova to be so negative because it goes against his very nature.
Well, time to experience new horizons, I guess. Anyway,
Jova's having an epiphany right
we're not gonna visit immediately, but by placing a Tome of Magic that we got so many parts ago here, we finally obtained one of my favorite areas in the entire game, and probably one of you guys will be favorite, the Magic Academy of Geo.
Oh boy.
Oh, we got a school now, have we?
But first, we need to continue the Dragon Story arc by placing the Green Cane near the Bone Fortress.
So, I guess we're going up against the third and final dragon now.
Exactly. We obtain a standard forest, the White Forest.
Snow White.
But first, obviously, we need to re-recruit again Lark to go there. Once we'll be done with that dragon, we will get the final quest of the Dragon Story arc in the next part. The next will be entirely dedicated to finish the Dragon Story arc. After that, the remaining parts will be a bit around the remaining minor story arc and also to the Jumi story arc. Then the last one will be the last ending.
Let's go.
There we go. Into the forest. Might as well.
Could you be a bit more specific, sir? Which forest?
Surprisingly enough, we have only that technically, Jova. So
It's the forest.
I mean, you could have argued it would have been the jungle, but well, we already remember. Also, the artifact was given to you at the end of every time you slaughter a dragon. Lark gives you the artifact that you need for the next quest. So the game hints you what to use in order to where to go next.
Hey, question to you.
Yes.
Even though we're not heading to the magical academy in this part, is there any reason why you set it down early?
Essentially, it's suggested to just in order to have space for the other artifacts.
Oh, you need to have space for them. Okay, makes sense.
Anyway, what do you mean? The one you wants to keep me away. You see.
The unicorn?
Yeah, Sierra. I will concentrate on picking up her scent. You should lead me.
Are you two friends
Essentially,
or something?
the forest... don't worry about the details. I will be alright. Anyway, what's your question, Jova?
I was about to ask, are those two like old friends, rivals?
Brothers and sister.
Oh.
Let's go. In fact, they actually look, remember, they're canine, they kind of look similar to each other.
Again, she looks like a unicorn to me.
That's because, if you actually saw their portrait, she has, her horn is attached through a wrist, through a head wrist thing. Sorry, a headband. Sorry.
Of course.
Anyway, this forest is a bit of a maze, but thankfully nowhere near as bad as the jungle or the ruins. Essentially, Dark is here to help you in this case, so essentially what you need to do is to go for an exit, and it will say, oh, I do not pick her scent, or yes, I hear her scent, I can smell her scent just fine. So essentially it's a bit of a trial and error, but you don't have a lot of options, so you're kinda thankfully railroaded.
Why are we chasing after her and not the dragon?
She's the guardian of the dragon. Lark idea is that she's gonna be close to him.
Wouldn't that be kind of dumb of her as a guardian then?
Well, she's supposedly lawful good, so
It's...
yeah.
So,
Also,
these
more
mushrooms, do they do any status to buffs if you take them down the wrong way? Oh, I guess not.
Sorry, can you repeat that, Joe?
I was wondering if those mushrooms, which look poisonous, do you status debuffs if you defeat them the wrong way.
No, thankfully not. But remember, all debuffs go... this game is similar to other games like 13 in a sense that after each battle, your HP gets restored and every debuff gets removed.
You get silly eyes.
It's one of the loot materials.
Huh.
You use, again, Jova, loot materials usually get to use either as bait for the monsters or during the golemology or the blacksmithing. I haven't shown it in playthrough for the sake of time saving. Also, that rabbi is clearly clipping.
Oh, look, nature's trying to attack us.
Well, Dweebs, might as well while we're at it. Jova has expressed his opinion. What do you think on the matter of how the game seems to be a bit too randomly structured?
Honestly, I kind of wish that all these stories were done, you know, like, not split them off, like you do this bit of one, you do this bit of the other. I wish they were all
Believe me, Dweebs, I would have wanted to pace them even better, but it's probably the best I can do.
What were you about to say, Dweebs?
Sorry.
Yeah, just have them have each bit of the same story all happen, and then you move on to the next one.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure.
I think what you mean, in a sense of giving it a more structure similar to the slice of life idea of having them similar to be episodes of overarching story.
To be fair to you, I don't blame your recording for that because, okay. Even if we did do these as, their own separate quests here and there, we'd still be, seeing these characters from other quests who then we wouldn't know about. So, again, the way you're going about it is necessary so that we have the best understanding of who's who, what's going on. I mean, and to be fair, I guess the only issue I've had with the way you've recorded stuff is that, yeah, it's been a while since we've dealt with things, so I forget them. But again, that's just kind of part of the course. It's not entirely, but it's similar to an issue I had with Beyond Two Souls in its original status, where in order to try and make it look all cool and artsy, they do stuff out of order. Even though, Pedro, what was the real purpose behind that?
We were never given a purpose. It just is
in order to see Ellen Page at different ages.
Exactly. That's the thing, though. Because of the story being out of order like that, it was...
Anyway, there you go. There's Sierra.
There's Shiroi, I believe, voiced
It's
her.
Pedro.
Oh, okay. So yeah, finally come this.
We got it because Sierra. Sarah, where is bodies?
So why is she wearing a horn on her forehead?
Lord!
It's an armor ornament.
Can you not see what Drakonis is trying to do?
No.
He did not order you to slay dragons for the sake of revenge. He is trying to snatch mana energy, the source of all power in the world.
Of course.
That I know.
Oh. Fool, do you not see what would happen if Drakonis returned to the surface?
Enough, Sierra.
Hey, I know shit, okay? Lark.
If Drakonis returns to the surface, then I, his knight, shall return as well.
So you're selfish.
What are you saying?
More like he's overstating the risk that needs to be taken for his purpose.
Wait.
I am a dragoon. Duty to protect order in the world like my master, the dragon. Cannot let anyone disrupt the order in the world. Even if it is my brother.
Alright, this is you, Jovan, as well.
Stop, Sierra!
My liege.
That's a dragon.
This is the forest dragon.
A brother and sister must not shed the blood they share.
Vadis, tell me where the Mana Stone lies.
You're standing on it.
Then you will not meet the same fate as the other true dragons. Lies!
Or he could just teleport away.
Lark!
I see. The Mana Stone is straight down that path.
Go, dragon. Yeah, surprisingly, Lark is
and then see
his
the
promise.
error of your ways.
Thank you, good dragon. Yeah.
I shall soon be free. Of course, so will Drakonis. But I have a plan.
What?
Do not worry, Sierra.
We shall resurrect Sierra and bring the King's Quest franchise back.
Once more, yeah. Your duty is fulfilled. You need not stay with me any longer.
How do I know that Drakonis isn't just gonna cast my
This is
soul?
all I can give you. You gave us some random metal we can use.
Lark?
Oh, no.
How do you know that...
Tio, it seems you have been dragged into this.
Kinda.
But there is no going back now. If Drakonis is not stopped, the entire world will suffer at his hands. I know this may sound strange, but you mustn't turn your back on this.
Sure.
What
whatever.
happens if you pick none of my business?
You're forced to take the other option.
Tio, I wish to ask a favor.
Oh boy.
Show me your powers.
I thought you were going to get a
Essentially,
non-standard game over.
The
or
dragon wants to test you reasonably.
Oh,
Here's the
goody.
problem. This is the other bullshit fight in the entire game because you fight both the dragon and Sierra at the same time, and you only can have your pet as your partner at this point.
Why is Sierra even involved in this fight exactly?
You know, so Lark supposedly has a plan. Let me guess.
Well, it's easy to imagine he wants to backstab Drakonis at the right moment.
Just so he can be returned to the world of the living.
Full and through. Remember, he can exit the underworld this moment, but it's not the same of being resurrected from the dead properly.
So he's killing all these innocent people, these two dragons who have done nothing but help society, just so he can return fully to the world of the living.
Apparently.
So, how does he realize how bad that's going to reflect on him when he dies of natural causes?
Well, remember, Jova, you seem to be an edgy guy, so I'm not sure if he's speaking for himself.
So, but that's his motivation. Not even like, you know, he wants to help save the world. He's literally doing this just so he can be back to the world of the living. He dragged us into this. he is tormenting his sister over this, nearly killed his sister. Yeah, what about the times
And
when he
drag me to all of this.
Yeah. What about the times when he nearly killed his sister? Was that a part of the plan?
Of course!
If it weren't for the...
What's the next step of your master plan?
You know, I hate to say it.
With no survivors.
Of course. You know, I hate to say it, but if it weren't for the fairy arc, this would be my least favorite story plot point.
Honestly, Jova, Dark may also be very despicable in his action, but honestly, this arc is relatively harmless for me.
Well, it's like I said, I mean, look, if the fairy arc was not a thing, this would be the weakest point for me. Oh well.
My liege.
Anyway, the dragon is kinda baiting. He's gonna beat Drakonis in a sense of kinda not dying, but in a sense of making through the Mana Stone believing that Drakonis.
But
Hold on. Sorry, can you repeat that?
But Dragon Princess. When was there established as a princess?
It's only a title, Jova. It doesn't mean really anything.
But most of the chapters have at least made sense of what's happened on in the story.
Also, unless it's referring actually to the dragon, in this case, I don't know. Because I always thought it was male, but I could be wrong.
It doesn't matter. They haven't established that this dragon is a princess. Like, again. But most of the titles have made sense. This one doesn't. I mean, again, this literally feels like they just threw in everything and waited to see what sticks.
Actually,
despite her father, despite the appearance of her father, like, if you saw Sally, would you say she was a princess? Like, she doesn't look anything like a princess.
Nope. But here's the thing.
You have to look at her father to know that she is a princess.
Here's the thing, Shuri. We're at least told she's a princess in story.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't really need to be told.
Yes.
I mean, it's just a title.
My point
Totally
is that I would
royalty,
hope that they would do everything to make stuff make sense. And at the very least, getting a title to match the context of something helps. Like, I know. Look, on its own, it would be fine.
Greg is working for his boss because he wants to get out of there. But I think he's enjoying it. I've got to see him to learn the truth.
Why do you care?
Which is precise. Well,
Oh, right,
remember,
that's right, the
we're
mana.
telling the stories and everything. But essentially, the next part will be entirely dedicated to the end of the side quest. We're gonna go back to the underworld and see if Drakonis will manage to get out, in case what we can do to stop it. So see you for that.
Ta-ta.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
See ya.